What up, what up, what up? Oh, man. See, George gets excited when he gets to sit next to me, everybody.
Yeah, because then I don't have to hear somebody cry about, I'm not the fire. Is it right? The green screens don't look right.
This motherfucker, man, says,
how come your green screens don't look right?
He's like, deuces, and then he goes to sleep, and he's like, yeah, man, the video get up yet? I'm like, yeah, man, because I fucking was up for 4 hours editing that shit. Oh, bitch-ass motherfucker. Anyway.
I was more or less people were hating on our green screen.
Yeah, I don't think about any of those people. UFC on Fox. Demetrious Johnson versus Benavidez 2 is in the books. It's a wrap.
See,
it was actually a good event, to be honest with you. We liked it. The first fight at night was a lightweight fight between Joe Lozon and Mac Danzig. And, you know, it kind of went back and forth for a while. I was impressed with what Mac Danzig was doing, and then he just didn't keep pressing the action, and Joe Lozon basically got the unanimous decision. I mean, for me to just sit here and say there was much more to it, there really wasn't much more to it. Was there much more to it? I mean, at all? I mean, I think that you weren't even focused on the fight because I had a couple drinks and I was like talking and like tongue and shit, and you were like, this is going to be a very interesting show if you don't stop drinking, Kevin. So I did. Stop fucking drinking.
Sorry.
Now, there was a featherweight fight.
And I'm going to be 100% honest. We really didn't see a whole lot of this fight because we were watching the Heisman. We were watching the Heisman, and that was Chad Mendes versus Nick Lentz.
So we saw most of the first round.
Right.
And the conclusion that Kevin and I came to. Wow.
See?
Is that
rubbing off it?
I thought Nick might have a shot because he was going to throw Chad off his game a little bit because Nick kept coming forward. We can call him that. We can call him motherfucker.
And kept pressing the action, but Chad just overwhelmed him. And then lo and behold, thank you, the MMA savior that he is informed us after the show that he had a sinus infection and
had been battling it for 4 weeks. He was battling the fuck out of that sinus infection for 4 weeks. It did not look like the Chaz Mendes that we had seen lately.
I've never seen Chaz Mendes.
Chad Mendes.
If you've seen Chaz,
I didn't say
I know Chad.
Chad with a D. Did I say Chaz? I might have said Chaz. Chad. I meant to say Chad.
Thank you.
It did not look like the Chad Mendes we have seen of late.
It's all because of the sinus infection.
Okay.
Anyway, he won going away. Nick Lentz put up a good. I mean, Nick
Lentz, it looks good.
Yes,
I mean, he does. He definitely surprised us.
He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
He is definitely going to be a force at the featherweights. He had won, I think, since he was undefeated since he had moved down to featherweights. He had won 4 straight.
Loss at feather.
And he lost to a formidable opponent.
Yeah,
that's a word I like to use for people who are familiar with this show. Now, people who are also familiar with this show, you will know that when we talk about Uriah Faber, we say it's impossible to lose when he's not fighting for a belt. And once again, we were right. And if you don't...
Pretty sure he's 18-0 in non-title fights.
19-0.
19? Because I thought it was 17 going in, and that made 18.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe you're right.
Put it this way.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't lose.
If there's not a belt on the line, and you're fighting Uriah Faber, you're gonna kind of lose.
And George and I have told the fighters that are fighting Uriah Faber plenty of times before.
Bring a belt to the ring.
Just bring a belt. Doesn't have to be a real belt. It could be a fake belt. Any type of belt. You know
just throw it at Uriah's feet.
It could be a fucking fan belt off your car. Just bring that shit and be like this. I'm the champ, bitches. And he will lose. You know what?
Kind of like the Lakers, 3 in a row.
Okay.
I had to slide that in.
He just had to do that shit. Now, the biggest surprise of the night was for the go ahead. Flyweight championship fight. And it was Demetrious.
Flyweight.
It was the flyweight fight. And it was Demetrious Johnson meeting Joseph Benavidez for the second time.
And the first time they met, this went the whole damn decision. It was a split for DJ. This is how he got the flyweight belt. And DJ cornholed this kid.
He did. 2 minutes into the first round, he was like...
The best part about it is we're looking at the clock. We're like, wow, this started at 8. Should be over at 10. The fight's just starting. Kevin goes, man, you think this fight gonna be over in 2 minutes? I'm like, no. He's
because it started at, what, 9:58, right?
And Kevin's like, this is gonna be 25 minutes of hell.
It was over with.
Well, it wasn't.
I'm like, George, I'm going to go upstairs and get my coffee.
And here we are. And the coverage on this fight was about as quickly as that fight was.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, what we can say, we can touch on real quick is that DJ is getting better and better and better. And I said it last week, I'm like, you know what? You don't want to sleep on him because we kind of been doing that lately, and he always proves us wrong, and he did it again. This time he proved us wrong with, I think he's finished his last 2 fights, and finishing Benavidez, man, with a knockout. That's the
first time Benavidez has ever been finished in his UFC career.
I mean, right now you got to be like, okay, who can fucking test this cat in the fucking flyweights?
Faber needs to cut 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And go lose it. I mean,
good luck
a
with
challenge
that shit.
for another weight.
It's a belt, dude. He won't win. Now, obviously it's a great event. It was definitely going to be overshadowed by the big news that broke this week, and that was GSP saying, you know what? I don't feel like doing this anymore.
That was not mentioned one time during the event.
Yeah, it surprised me.
Yeah,
probably because Dana White was like, don't mention it. I'm so mad at him.
I'm really shocked by that. I would fully expect the Dana White to do some kind of tribute. Oh wait, but when you don't really retire, you can't really, that's my problem with this whole thing. Mm-hmm. You're not retiring. You're pretty much quitting without quitting, and
he's retiring.
I'm not gonna say.
I mean, he's retiring, George.
But he's not.
But he must. This is okay. I want everybody to hear me for a second, okay? He's saying that he's not, but let's just look at GSP. GSP was averaging fighting maybe once a year, okay? Now, that's taking time off, in my opinion. Now, if you're going to take time off, and he's got movie deals and all kinds of other shit flying around.
We're assuming he has movie
We
deals.
just know his life is in a zoo. His life is a zoo. His life is a zoo.
So his life is, he lives in a cage and people come around and look at him, or he walks around and looks at people in cages?
I don't know. But something like
Sounds
that.
like one, I mean, it does.
But it's a zoo. He made it very clear to us. Even though we're not
connected. Are zoos supposed to be crazy? Because it's not, a zoo is really not that crazy.
I thought zoos were calm.
Because now, a zoo would be fucked up.
I mean, they're fun. Is his life fun? Maybe he's having too much fun. That's why he wants to retire.
Well, that's probably why he got that girl pregnant.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Then that can make your life kind of a zoo.
And see, here's what I'm going to say I lost a little bit of respect for GSP. And this is
George, have you ever had respect for GSP? Let's be real, man.
As a fighter and an athlete, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I've never respected the style he fights because he's always fought to not lose, not necessarily to win.
Right.
And there's a huge difference.
I was just asking.
So, the way he phrased it, because at the end he said, I will come back if I feel like it.
Right.
Fuck you very much. Because that's like telling everyone who paid $60 to watch you dry hump another man to death is, you should have paid if you felt like it. Like, you just sat there and told all your fans, thanks, but that's the way I interpreted it.
Right.
Because you should have said, and had the respect, like, look, at this time, I'm retiring. I'm stepping away. The sport, well,
especially because he's relinquishing his belt and everything.
Yeah.
You would just think that he would say, look,
that line for me really bothered me. I'll come back if I feel like it. Well, fuck you. Why didn't you quit sooner then?
Well, this is the thing, and this is what I find odd about it. I mean, and like you said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for GSP because he is a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal MMA fighter, and it's going to go down as one of the best ever.
At 170.
And ever in general, because he's definitely was one of the best pound for pound fighters ever to step in the octagon. But people, you have to look at it realistic, and all you GSP fans out there that follow him, because there's loads of GSP fans that watch the show. I just so doubt that he'll be able to come back. And why I say that is because you're in a class that if you were keeping up, okay, it was getting very difficult to keep up. You see how big these guys are. You see all the middleweights that are dropping down to welterweight. We called it before. We were like, if he gets through Johny Hendricks, which a lot of people don't feel like he really did, he should probably give it up because there's going to be 50 more Johny Hendricks coming behind you. You know what I'm saying? Coming behind him. And you're getting older. Each year you're getting older. You know, it's going to take that much more to train for. These guys are more diversified. They're training. The method's getting better. The sport is evolving.
They're diversifying their skills.
They're diversifying their skills. Now, if you step away from this sport for 2 or 3 years, as this sport, how quickly it evolves, you just cannot. No. I don't see anybody.
This ain't riding a bike, dude.
It isn't. I mean, the sport is still evolving, and I think anybody that steps away from the sport for 2 or 3 years, you're going to come back and you're
at any level. I mean, I would say right now the only weight class that doesn't show a whole lot of craziness is the heavyweights.
Yeah.
They're just kind of there's not much evolution to the heavyweights game right now.
Right.
I mean, what I mean by that is you don't see really, really big guys cutting down to try to make weight and then fight, and you just don't see a lot of changes in the heavyweight class.
I think the only thing that you could see in the heavyweight class that would make somebody be a standout is if they just had an incredible motor, because you do see most heavyweights dying. You don't see any heavyweight that is just that much more conditioned than the other heavyweights, like a standout.
Yeah, this is a lot of weight to carry around there.
Yeah, it's just a lot. With that being said, I just don't see him coming back.
I don't either. I
think it could hurt his legacy.
He doesn't need to come back.
He doesn't.
He didn't.
Really doesn't.
I mean, like I said, when he lost that fight to Johny Hendricks, I mean, when he won that fight to Johny Hendricks.
You had it right the first time, I thought.
He should have just walked over and gave him the belt and said, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Like right there, he knew right there he was done.
Yes.
And I understand in the heat of the moment, you should take some time and gather yourself, but nothing changed.
Yeah.
You know it. And he was a tremendous fighter at 170.
And I think there's, it's funny when you say,
tack that shit up.
If you look at it, some people say GSP won this round, GSP won 3 rounds, and I could sit back and go, okay, I could possibly see that. But I think when you really look at it, like if you look at a fight, he lost the fight. Technically, technically a lot of people say Johny Hendricks won the fight, and then technically, obviously, the judges saw GSP win the fight, and you cannot argue that point. But I think if you really look at who won the fight, and I think that's one of the things that played a role with GSP, because he sat there and realized, I got my ass whooped that night. And that plays a lot on a man's psyche.
How many takedowns did GSP have in that fight?
I don't know, but he
2,
attempted
3?
a lot of them.
Right, and he landed how many? I'd say for the first time in that fight, he landed less than 5.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time we saw GSP do that? And that had to be disheartening.
Yeah.
To a guy who sits there, pepper, looks up at the clock, 3 minutes, okay, cool. Take down, hold you down for a minute. Take down, hold you down for a minute, round.
Yeah.
That's what GSP did. And to be so successful. That's also why he holds the record for most time in an octagon.
Right. He's fought so many, and this is what you were looking at. Look at Johny Hendricks. You're looking at now with the evolution of the welterweight class. For the once, GSP having a crop of guys coming up that were all his height, maybe taller now.
Right.
Like he was usually the taller guy. He had his stature, the reach and height. He was looking at probably within the next 2 years, probably being one of the smaller guys now, the shorter guys. And it's like, when you have to take down a guy that's lengthier and sprawls his legs wider, it's harder to get around the legs. There was just going to be so many more uphill battles for him.
So where does that leave the welterweight class?
I think obviously we're going to find that out when Robbie Lawler meets Johny Hendricks
in March. Here's my other issue with the UFC. What month are we in?
We're in December.
We're just about halfway through, correct?
Yeah.
We're one day about being.
Yeah.
Why are we being told about fights in February?
Yeah.
This is why we know
yeah.
I mean,
that's why the cards get all twisted up.
Right. You sit there and you have people fall out, drop. I don't need to know about any fight in February till January. Give me 30 days. I don't need 90.
I think it's because it leaks out. Because even if you have to, like if I said, okay, George, if I was Dana White, I said, you're going to fight, I got to give you a 90-day notice at least. Unless you're just going to step into something. If I'm building a card, I have to give you notice, and you know that the people who are on that card are going to start to leak out.
Well, here's the thing I find amazing. Ronda Rousey and Sugar Britches are fighting here in 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the fight we only hear about on that card?
What's the fight? We just hear about the Silva and Silva and Weidman. I mean, Weidman. Hmm?
I'm just saying that says all I need to say about women's MMA.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting fight. We'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, thoughts and comments below. Congratulations to Jameis Winston, who won the 2013 Heisman unanimously.
Shout out to Ben Roethlisberger.
Deuces.